closed out 1 Thessalonians chapter 1 last week. Two words stand out: serve and wait. Serve God while we're here. Paul reminds them, you've turned away from idols and you are serving the living God. You and I understand there's one God. There's no other. God is jealous. He doesn't want us to give attention, allegiance to any other God. I always like to say, any God with a little g. God Almighty. God, His sovereignty, His right to be glorified. What about that word wait in verse 10? And to wait for the Son from heaven. Why are we waiting? Because He hasn't come. In difference to some who say, oh, He came in 70 A.D. No, His second coming is going to end this world. It's going to be melted with a fervent heat. It's going to be destroyed. The heavens, the earth. And will be ushered into eternity. Only two places, heaven or hell. Good morning. But let's wait. Are you impatient? Would you love to see Him come now? No response. Yes, come, Lord. Will it end all your cares and all your worries and all your pain and everything that we're associated with in this physical body, in this flesh? There's a constant battle between the spiritual and my body. My body wants to rule. Paul said in Romans about overcoming the physical desires, the appetites. You know, our body's always craving. Why is it at night when my body says, I want some sweets? Give me some sweets. I have one package of Oreo cookies, and I allow myself to eat two before I go to bed with a little milk, and that satisfies it. So maybe I'm not overdoing it, but you know what do you do to legitimately satisfy those cravings? We have a mate. We have a family. We'll talk about holiness later on this morning in worship. So let's continue to wait. He's going to be coming and He'll deliver us from the wrath to come. Wow. You ever just sit down and think about salvation? What Jesus has done for you? You don't have to have a guilty conscience. You don't have to fear the possibility of hell. These things have been written that you may know you have eternal life, 1 Peter tells us. One lady says, well, that sounds a little haughty to me. That, but when we obey what God tells us to do, had He promised? Had He given? And can't we expect Him to follow through? All the promises God has made, He's fulfilled. And He will fulfill that also. Now, if we are condoning and practicing something in our life that's wrong, and we don't do away with it, then there's concern. All right, let's go to chapter 2. Here, Paul is going to talk about the manner in which the gospel was to be preached. Well, Ephesians tells us, teach the truth in love. Well, there's no other way, is there? If there's anything of a, hateful way or being impatient with somebody, a holier than thou attitude, people are going to be turned off. We can't come before someone and say, you know what? You're going to hell.
My dad
What?
did.
What?
My dad did.
Your dad came to you and said you're going to hell?
Yeah.
You didn't love though, didn't you?
I listened to him.
Huh?
I listened to him.
Well, that's what's important, isn't it?
Sometimes you have to say what has to be said. If somebody's going on a path that you know leads to destruction, you got to tell them.
We can't refrain from it, but we need to make sure we try to do it in the best way.
If you're on a road, and this has happened, where a bridge has fallen in, and people have drove off, but you were lucky enough that you didn't drive off, are you going to sit there and watch people drive off, or are you going to try to stop cars?
And how are you going to yell at us? Oh, please don't go any further. You're going to drive off the end of that bridge into the water. Hey, wait! Danger ahead! About that loud. I can get louder.
I was told the same thing. I was told. You have to either listen.
Well, at first, how we want to approach them. In love. If we've constantly reminded them and they haven't changed, hey, do you not understand that the way you're living only has one end? Warn them. And I like your illustration. For yourselves, brethren, know our entrance in unto you that it was not in vain. But even after that we had suffered before and were shamefully entreated, and at Philippi we were bold in our God to speak unto you the gospel of God with much contention. Religion is contentious because there is a father of lies. Satan's going to tell people the different story, the lesson. There's a strong delusion. Where does it come from? The father of lies. Paul is reminding them how he's approached them and what was happening. He constantly had people following him, denying his apostleship, his inspiration, and he's reminding them what happened at Philippi. You can go to Acts 16, verse 22, and see some of that. But we were bold, he said. Someone described that boldness that Paul had.
He continued to preach, and he was told not to.
Even though he had opposition, those against him.
Strong.
Confident. That's what boldness means. When you know, you know. When you don't know something, are you comfortable even guessing about something? Pick a subject. Politics. Do you know? I don't think any of us know. Okay. What I perceive as truth is not reached in many places. I know what I feel is true. How I want to be treated, how I want to be respected, how I want to be counted. And, some of us, it just feels like there's nothing we can do about it. but in a spiritual way, we can know. I wonder what all Paul went through that he describes. I was shamefully entreated. We go to 1 Corinthians 11, and you see a list of things that he suffered. How many times he almost drowned? How many times was he flogged? 40 minus 1. Imprisoned because he preached the truth, preached the gospel. Yeah. Verse 3, for our exhortation was not of deceit, nor of uncleanness, nor in guile. There's a man presenting what everybody needs to hear. And that's why we're studying this epistle, because of he's reliable. Was Paul perfect?
No.
Where was he? Where was his problem in life? What did he do wrong?
Well, he thought he was right, but he wasn't whenever we were persecuting Christians.
When he was persecuting Christians, he thought he was right. My conscience is clear, is what he said. And yet, Christ appeared to him. Why are you working against me? And he believed. And in blindness, he was taken to Damascus, and Ananias came and talked to him. But he, in those 3 or 4 days of blindness, he was repentant. He knew he had been wrong. That's right. So think about this definition of him. Not in deceit. He didn't withhold. He told them the truth, what they needed to know. Whether it's the Judaizing Christians, or whether it's idolatry, or whether it's his own brethren who were fighting against him. Many people were jealous of Paul. And so he's dealing with that. But he did resort to hatred or anything wrong, nor in uncleanness. Being dirty is impure. Now, is it physical dirt that's on our body that we need to get rid of? Cleanliness is next to godliness. Boy, I'm squeaky clean this morning. Shaved and combed my hair, and I got everything in place, and clean clothes on. It's your character. It's how you live, how you conduct yourself, how you, maybe in weakness, yield to something of the flesh. He said, that's not me. It's not the way I approached you. Nor in guile. What's guile? Is that the gallbladder? Say again.
That's bile.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Something bitter,
Deceit.
Yeah.
Not in guile. There was no guile found in Jesus. No deceit. Only truth. And that was not in Paul either. What better way to approach people? With a conscience that's clear, and you put all these things aside, and he tells me he's been very careful about how he's conducted himself.
No angle, no scheming,
No manipulation.
He didn't do it for his own personal gain. He wasn't doing it to be popular. He wasn't doing it for riches. He wasn't doing it to get something from them.
He was willing to work for his own livelihood, wasn't he? At times, though, he encouraged or thanked people for the support that came his way. one place he says the minister is worthy of his hire. If he's suffering for the cause of Christ and working and traveling, brethren ought to open up their homes, ought to pack up a sack lunch, whatever. In 2 John, Demetrius is a complete contradiction of what Paul stood for. Demetrius wouldn't receive any other preachers that were traveling in that area. Closed his doors. And we don't want to be a Demetrius. Be a Paul. Verse 4. But as we were allowed of God to be put in trust with the gospel, even so we speak, not as pleasing men, but God, which tries our hearts. That's exactly what David was saying. Not pleasing men. How easy would it be to get entangled with yielding to someone's, well, I want them to like me, so I'm not going to in any way condemn them. Don't rock the boat. That's right. We can get along with everybody, all types of people, by condoning what they do, accepting them for who they are. God made me this way. Okay. Peace to you. Can you tell them peace? Peace in this earth, on this earth? Maybe, but there's not going to be any peace later. So we do a terrible thing to them, don't we? Be careful. We don't want to. We want to treat all men with respect and courtesy, but we can't change the word. We can't allow them to keep practicing what is wrong. We can't condone it. Let's keep going. Look at that word, the last, he tried. He tries our hearts. You like trials? Hardship? Tribulation?
Taking the wrong trial for a second.
What do they bring? Patience? True evaluation of yourself? Why am I going through this? Maybe it's a choice I made, a wrong choice. Am I honest enough to say, you know what? I chose wrong. So here, Paul is saying, God is going to try us. Give an example of somebody who was tried drastically in the Old Testament. Job? Yeah. Who took his riches? Who took his children away from him?
Satan.
Satan?
Because God allowed Satan to test him to the limits. With the exception of taking his life, he was allowed to take everything else.
That's right. How well did Job stand up?
Never
It-
faltered.
Perfect. Almost. Well, is it perfection? It was that God rewarded him double at the end. Was it a reward or just a double blessing? A lot of times we refrain from saying, I was rewarded. Because what do we think of when someone receives an award?
We think they might have earned it.
Earned it. They got it because they did something great. Cohen has a white belt around his waist this morning. He earned it in karate and you know, he didn't even mention it. His daddy did. You see that belt? Well, David has told me he feels about karate and the discipline that it gives young men and how it molds their character
Girls too.
in certain ways.
I was gonna say girls too, that helps.
Well, yeah,
Bit of both.
I hope Christianity, our being together, molds our young people in all the activities and the fellowship we have. I was thinking about Abraham offering his son Isaac, how he was not reconciled. It was accounted unto him as righteousness because he did that which God asked him to do. Oh man, what a test. Kill your son. In essence, that's the kill your son. Make a sacrifice out of it. You know. Verse 5, for neither at any time used we flattering words, as you know, nor a cloak of covetousness. God is witness. That fits everything what we said, isn't it? What is flattering words? What they want to hear. Is it truth or lying?
Could be a lie. Most times probably is.
Oh, you're the most handsome guy on the planet Earth.
Thank you.
Now I know you've been lying. You know, I look at myself in the mirror. I know I'm not handsome. So, you know, what are flattering words for?
Make somebody feel better. Or feel good or whatever.
Okay, there is the benefit of helping them feel better about themselves. And then there's the wrong perception. I flatter you in order to get you to like me or to do something I want. I flatter you so you will buy whatever I'm selling. You know, y'all are the best listeners in all the world.
We'll listen now, so we hear if you're gonna compliment us.
There you go. It just one step after another would, in it. One act to keep your attention, keep your allegiance. Not all flattering is bad, but it can be. But he says, I haven't come with flattering words. He says, I've told you the truth about what's wrong with you. If everything I say is good about you and leave off those not qualities, but those bad habits, I'm not helping you or myself, am I? Cloak of covetousness. What do what do some evangelists on TV want? Your money. Send in a blessing. Keep our ministry going. If you like what you hear, Paul says tickling ears, because they heap unto them teachers that will tickle my ear. I like what he says. He doesn't convict me. He doesn't condemn me. You know, that's what's been said about the preacher in Houston, Texas. Big guy. Verse 6, nor of men sought we glory, neither of you, nor yet of others, when we might have been burdensome as the apostles of Christ. Turn to 2 Corinthians 10:17. If I read my note there correctly. But he that glories, let him glory in the Lord. Not he that commendeth himself is approved, but whom the Lord commends. Paul at one time says, look what's happening. If everybody commends you for the sake of, I'm not saying it right, maybe beware when all people commend you, say good about you. Concerns to be brought up.
A lot of these TV preachers, they want you to put them up on a pedestal, you know. They're way above everybody else.
Yeah.
And they like that.
Now in Africa, when they go to a town center, there is a place that's built for such, and it's usually made out of rough lumber and some steps, and it's about 3 to 4 feet high. And that's where they go when they want to make a speech. Sometimes it's political, but sometimes it's preachers coming in to preach the gospel. And they just start preaching, and they might have a PA system, and all the people are going and walking around, and it seems like nobody's listening. But they're listening more than you think. But anyway,
There's lots of things to covet besides money. There's popularity, there's position, like many women today covet place of man in the church, big preachers and leaders in the church. So that's, you know, they covet something that doesn't belong to them.
well, why can't I? What's wrong with me if I'm a woman wanting a position of authority?
I didn't do it.
God, did God take it away from her, or did she ever have it? She took it, didn't she? She deceived her husband. Oh, look how good this fruit is. It'll make you wise. Well, who started it, of course? The serpent, Satan. And because of that, sin came into the world, and they were cast from the Garden of Eden, and an angel stood guard and couldn't go back in. Couldn't go back to the tree. And we know what happened. Man was going to be working for his food, and a woman in her childbirth is going to have pain, but in faith, she'll be saved. She'll survive. But if there wasn't godliness, something terrible could happen. Anybody else?
Greg,
Yes.
TV, there's a Church of Christ minister, in the Lord's Way. At the end of his show, when he's offering help to people, you know, anything, if they want copies of anything that he's been preaching about or anything. But he always tells everybody, we don't want your money, it's all free, we just want to help you to get closer to God, you to make it to heaven.
What a contrast to those others.
Right,
Yes.
really, it really impressed me the first time I heard him say it, and I hear it all the time.
His father-in-law, Mac Line, did the same thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We got to hear Mac Line down in Southeast Texas when I was there. Quite often, he was invited to speak at different congregations. And he was a humble man, but he's helped the kingdom of Christ so much. And his son-in-law, Phil Sanders. Matter of fact, did y'all know Phil Sanders coming here? April
September.
First week in September.
of 2024? Okay. So look forward to September of next year.
everything goes accordingly.
And if time is permitted. Yep. Verse 6, nor of men sought we glory, neither of you nor yet of others. Think about it. Who is seeking the glory of men? A shyster? A conniver? Someone who wants to promote himself? He says we don't want to be burdensome as an apostle. I don't believe any preacher wants to be burdensome. Verse 7, but we were gentle among you, even as a nurse cherishes her children. So being affectionately desirous of you, we were willing to have imparted unto you not the gospel of God only, but also our own souls, because you were dear unto us. You know, being a preacher, you are putting yourself out there, and people either love you or they hate you. But if you conduct yourself in such a way, being a people person, it's such a good feeling to know you're loved and appreciated, and it's for the right reason. It goes a long way, and I appreciate it very much. We know what it means to be gentle. You know, with as a gave an example there, as a nurse cherishes her children, as a mother cherishes her children, but a hired nurse, a babysitter, should think of those children as her own. She'll do a better job, won't she? You ever see these videos of ladies who are taking care of children and they don't know they're being filmed, slapping a child, hitting a child? I can only imagine what those parents thought when they saw that. Fired on the spot, or maybe even turned in. That's all. That's what they deserve. Affectionate. That's what he's saying he has for the brethren. Affection. You know, that's being affected. You know, but he was concerned about them because they were dear unto him. For you remember, brethren, our labor and travail, for laboring night and day, because we would not be chargeable unto you. We preached unto you the gospel of God. You are witnesses, and God also, how both I got improved glasses, but that's still not coming through. Devoutly, holily, Holily, and justly and unblameably we behaved ourselves among you that believe, as you know how we exhorted and comforted and charged every one of you, as a father doth his children, that you should walk worthy of God, who has called you unto the kingdom of glory. Now, is he setting them up? Look what we have together. I love you, you love me. Is he fixing to pounce on them? Is there going to be a but? All this I've done, but that's for next time. Thank you.